Hello, Chef. I know you guys are very busy today. I really thank you so much for taking time for me today. I'm very interested in your insights because I believe the food is the best language for the culture, and then we will be looking at the Canadian culture on an executive chef's eye. So thank you for the opportunity today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start off with my very first question. What is Canadian culture, do you think?
We live in a very diverse society, as you know. We have many different cultures. We're a big melting pot, and I feel that we're very unique in the world because we have so many different influences from all over the world. Canada is a very special place. We welcome all different people from all over the world, and we embrace their cultures and their cuisines and their lifestyles, because everybody has a different way of doing things. And I feel it's very special when a different family comes from a different part of the world and shares their way of living and their way of eating with us Canadians. And I feel that's the true Canadian way.
So you experience this beautiful diversity and the multiculturalism within a special place called restaurants.
Yes.
What do you think the Canadian food culture, the Canadian cuisine is?
In Canada, we have a very unique food culture. Going back to what I said previously, because we're so diverse and because we have different nationalities from all over the world, with our own special ingredients here, because that's very important to Canadian cuisine, is the quality of our ingredients, of our meat, of our vegetables, of our seasonal ingredients. To have all these different cultures influence the way we cook, the way we taste, the way we eat is very special. So I don't think we have necessarily one defined cuisine, which makes us very unique. We have different nuances of different cultures embraced in one cuisine. That's my true take. Of course, putting in some a little bit of maple syrup and a little bit of bison of our beautiful Canadian ingredients. For me, that's what Canadian cuisine is.
I believe Macri is a beautiful Italian last name. How do you think your Italian heritage reflected on your career?
I grew up I'm a first generation Canadian, so my grandparents immigrated from Calabria when they were in their midway through their life. So I have a very strong Italian heritage, and what I love is my family kept their values and kept their traditions alive to this day. Whether it's making homemade tomato sauce once a year, we do our own roasted red peppers, we make our salamis. For me, growing up was in the kitchen with my nonna, my mother, my father, and my grandfather. Everybody. It was a community. It was a family thing to cook. Not only special occasions, not only Christmas and Easter, but throughout the whole year. Sundays would be a big day that we spent together cooking and creating and having fun. So for me, cooking and the passion comes from when I was 2 years old.
So prior to this interview, I did a little bit of homework and I searched about Chef Ernesto Iacarino. And in Don Alfonso, Toronto, you are executing his very ingredients, very recipes. So how do you find executing a Michelin star chef's recipes within the Toronto scene in terms of finding the ingredients, serving to the clientele, or working on the whole setup?
So this project started maybe two years ago, a year and a half ago. I had the privilege and opportunity to spend 3 months with Chef Ernesto Iacarino in his home in St. Agatha and cook and learn his philosophies and his flavors. And because of my background of being Italian and understanding the way Italians do things and think, it's very comforting for me to see that their mentality, their philosophies are very similar to mine. So for me, it was very easy to fit into his kitchen and to understand his philosophies and his flavors, because they're very traditional flavors. He uses traditional ingredients, he uses traditional flavors, yet he spins them in a way that is very unique and it's different than the traditional pasta or the traditional lasagna. So for me, that was the most important thing, that he still stuck to his roots, and he doesn't do molecular gastronomy. He doesn't do things too crazy, but the way he manipulates ingredients and the way he balances everything together is quite phenomenal. For example, you can have a dish of Chef Ernesto's where you taste one thing and it's too sour. You taste another thing, it's too sweet. You taste another thing, it's too acidic. But you eat everything together and it's perfect harmony. That's his philosophy, is balance, which I love and I learned to appreciate a lot. As for bringing his cuisine to Toronto, at first we were a little bit nervous about how Toronto would perceive Chef Ernesto and Don Alfonso in Toronto, but we came in to this project with the philosophy that we're not going to adapt to Toronto's views and thoughts of cuisine. Toronto has to adapt to what we're doing, what we're bringing to Toronto. So because I feel this cuisine and what we do here is so unique, nobody else in the city is doing, I feel that Toronto embraced us and accepted this culture and this cuisine, and I feel that it was easy to portray the message of Chef Ernesto.
Yeah, we are actually very lucky to have you here. And in Toronto Star, I read this critic writing about Chef Saverio's dishes as having a great sex and waking up smiling next morning, which is a great sign. So speaking of Michelin stars, do you see any Canadian restaurant getting a Michelin star within a year?
First, I want to say thanks to Amy Bataki for giving that brilliant review. We're very proud of what we've accomplished so far, and I feel that Toronto and Canada, we have spectacular restaurants and spectacular chefs and world-class chefs. Finally we're getting recognition with top chefs coming into the city and opening up Michelin caliber restaurants. But even before this whole trend of Michelin coming to Toronto started, we have world-class chefs, we have world-class restaurants. In the past we've had 3 or 4 restaurants on the San Pellegrino Top 100. So this is not new. It's just now we're starting to really get the recognition that we deserve because of the different cultures and ethnicities and our spectacular ingredients here. The chefs are coming here, and chefs are expressing themselves and utilizing everything that we have here, to create a world-class cuisine. Because we're fortunate to have diversity. We're fortunate to have different ingredients, different philosophies, and just combining them all into one.
Yeah, I was saving my sexiest question as describing the Toronto food scene in the eyes of multiculturalism, but you responded that just perfectly. From the behind the scenes, there is the team, the service, the clientele, but also there is your team in the culinary team. How do you find diversity when you manage your team? How is that? What is it like to work with different background chefs, servers, managers? How does this whole different background people come together in one place?
I feel that food is a universal language. Whether you're in China, whether you're in the US, whether you're in Europe, food brings people together. Food speaks for itself. We are all trained and we all are schooled on culinary techniques, and but at the end of the day, we work here because we're passionate and we love what we do. So for everybody in my kitchen, the number one trait that we look for is passion. If you have passion, a love for food, a love for quality, a love for ingredients, it's very simple to bring all these different cultures and ethnicities together. We speak the language of food, like I said, and we're portraying Chef Ernesto's vision and his philosophies of food. And everybody here at Don Alfonso, whether we have ethnicities from all over the world. We have Italian, we have Canadians, we have Jamaican, we have Korean, we have Brazilian, we have people from Africa. We have all different types of cultures in the kitchen. However, we all are here for the same reason, for the love of food and to put out the best possible product that we can put out.
I know that there are a lot of experienced chefs or young chefs across the world following their passion and ending up in Toronto. If you think of a 20-year-old guy just starting his very first days in the kitchen, and he's interested in taking your job at some point, what would be your recommendation to that kid?
My recommendation would be to, number one, work hard and never sacrifice quality for anything. Quality always comes first, and always put out your best. Always, try your hardest and put out your best possible dish, because, the second you start not caring and you're just putting stuff out just to put it out, then maybe it's time to look for a new career. Because like I said earlier, we don't do this for the money in the kitchen. We do it for the love, for the passion. So stick to quality, stick to hard work, and if you're passionate and if you love what you do, you'll be successful.
understand. I have like 200 other questions, but I'm going to save those for the next time. But I have two bonus questions to finish up with. What is your favorite restaurant in Toronto?
Ooh, I would say my favorite restaurant would be Langdon Hall. It's not in Toronto; it's a little bit outside Toronto, but it's just their philosophies are very similar to ours in terms of from farm to table, using the best ingredients, and just Chef Jason's so creative, and for me, it's probably the best.
Thank you for the honest answer.
No problem.
And the bonus question too. You have a special date night, and you are making the meal for your wife or that special person. We'll stick with the wife. What would be the dish that you would make for that special date night?
I would probably always go to. My wife is a lover of steak, so I would do a nice beef tenderloin with maybe some squash or simple. We eat very simple at home, but to have a grass-fed beef tenderloin. Sous vide first a little bit, then sear it nice, and just put the love into the plate.
Okay. Now we can go back to kitchen and video making il gelato, and maybe you can give us the recipe of it.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Chef, thank you so much for your time.
Okay,
It was
Mert.
an amazing time.
Thank you, Mert. Thank you for coming into our house.
That's it. Chef,
Good.
Oh, that was
All right.
amazing. Thank you so much.